Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach, and today we have with us Richard Walsh, who's the author of Escape the Owner Prison, the Contractor's New Way to Scale, Regain Control, and Fast Track Growth While Loving Life. That's a mouthful. Richard, welcome to the program. I'm excited to dive in.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, me too. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's going to be great.
You're welcome. And the mouthful is that it's like, hey, I want to scale, I want to regain control, I want to fast track growth, and do all that while loving life, because it seems like the seesaw is tilted on one side there. So I'm excited to hear about your book and bring us up to speed on what led you to write this book about the industry. I'm certain, and I know that you've spent a lot of years in the industry with contractors, which then allowed you to draw from your experiences and reveal some of these techniques to your audience in your book.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been about 30 years, just over 30 years I've been in business. And it started, the book and everything just in the last couple of years is kind of, I did it about a year and a half ago, the book itself. But I kind of had 20 years in business. 08, 09 hit the big crash. I lost everything. My business kind of collapsed almost overnight, like a lot of other people at that time, and a lot of reasons. And what I realized was after I had a lot of change. I had 6 small kids, a wife, everything else at the time, and it really just, I couldn't believe it just like evaporated so quickly. And obviously I had to reinvent, restart. I started other businesses, but I wanted to figure out what really happened because I was the top of my game. I was the best at what I did, super successful. Things were great. And then it just went away. So my thing was, well, what happened? And I realized through, looking back and really kind of starting to document what I had done, there's a lot of little things that added up to one great big thing, which was failure, right? And we always get little failures along the way, which is okay. But I realized that all those little things culminated into some big things that maybe not be recession-proof, not have the right things in place. And then also realized that I was actually chained to my business. If I didn't open the door, things didn't happen, right? A lot of people are in that way. A lot of guys go from being a technician to being a business owner, but never stop being a technician. So I saw this commonality throughout all the people I had dealt with, all the other entrepreneurs I know, guys in the trades and service business. So, I started to create a roadmap to get out of that, and that's where Escape the Owner Prison came from. It's like, how do we do this? And then I put it into play in my other businesses, and it really worked out well. So I decided to start helping others do it because that's where I get my most joy, is really helping other people create that freedom, to have a successful business, but still have time for their family, have time for recreation, because we never had that. I spent 20 years working 16 hours a day. So that was the whole catalyst of the book.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting. You hear that so many times with, boy, I wish things were different, so I'm going to make them different, and then I'm going to teach people what I learned through that process. In fact, it's interesting. Just last night I was watching this show that I just came across called Undercover Billionaire, and the guy just goes around to businesses and helps them do a turnaround in like 27 days. And the business that he chose was a car detailing shop, and then the guy had a soup kitchen kind of a thing to help the community. And the thing that struck me was, in 27 days, his business literally turned around, but the point was the guy put in the work. And I think that you would agree with the fact that you could take the highlights of your book and you could go, here's what you need to do, these 19 bullet points, but you still got to do it. So there's a difference between having that head knowledge and then putting it into action, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the cool thing about entrepreneurs in general. Also, what I've discovered is we all have a work ethic. There isn't a lot of willing to put in the work. They really do need the direction, though. But accountability and putting in that work, that is the difficult part for anything. Even if you have a regular job, a 9-to-5, you got to put in the work, to keep that job, right?
Yeah. And the thing when you're making changes is you've got to put the work in to maintain what you currently have, and then put the extra work in to make the changes to go in a slightly different direction to make things better. So many times it's not just a matter of, I'm going to immediately be working less and be more efficient. That comes later, but it takes a bit of time to change the direction of that big old luxury liner boat rather than a speedboat. It takes a little bit of time. What do you teach in your book to help contractors understand? It's going to take a minute or two. Don't think it's a magic bullet.
Yeah, I definitely emphasize that, and I have stages. We do what I do with the book is I went, you're 0 to $1 million, $1 million to $5 million, $5 million to $10 million, then you go scale up from there. So you have to understand those stages and what needs to be put in place. And the important thing is building the foundation in the beginning so that you are scalable. A lot of guys are always going to wait until they make money, wait until they become successful, and they don't really understand the beginning process, concept of creation. Then when you make it, what things should you be putting in place at this very moment so that you can elevate yourself to those levels, and maintain, again, the balance and the freedom that you want in your business. But it's also about understanding what delegation is, elimination, how to do the right things, focusing on your 5%, the only things that only you can do while you grow your business. So a lot of guys, again, are getting in, they're still working on the roof or, swinging a hammer, doing what they do, and they don't understand that the business can't grow that way. Because if it depends on you only, to do everything from, install the roof shingle, say, down to, do the accounting, you have a major limitation there, and you're not going to even get past the 7-figure range.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, so you talk about an exit strategy. Why is that so important to success, especially if you're in the mode of, let me polish up and clean up what I currently have right now? I'm not even thinking about selling or an exit, but you're proposing that you need to have that in place to kind of help guide you, right?
Yeah, it's like a really, really critical element in my academy. It's like the second thing we do, right? You got to focus on it. Here's why. Because when you choose, like, what's the number, what's the date, and again, you got to set them. Doesn't mean you have to stick to them, exactly when the time comes. But if you don't have a purpose, like, I want to, in 10 years, I want to be at X amount of revenue. I want to, be able to exit. I need this much passive income coming in to replace my business income, so I can move out of this, exit this comfortably. There's a lot of factors to this. And here's the important part of that, Mike, is that becomes your business filter. Okay, every time you have a business decision to make, you run it through the exit strategy filter. Does it feed my exit strategy or does it detract from it? If it detracts from that goal, then I have to say no, right? Because as entrepreneurs, we often get distracted with shiny objects and things like that. But it's very, very important to understand where you're going. It gives you incredible clarity on your purpose, your mission, your business itself, and it really keeps you on track because you understand how much you need. Hey, I need $80,000 a month passive income to be able to exit this business, right? I want to make, I need a minimum sale of $2.5 million of my business to exit. So how do I build that? So you kind of reverse engineer from there. So it's very, very important that that's very, very clear in your business plan going forward.
You talk about your 5%. So what is that and how should we approach it? And it kind of makes me think about the 80-20 rule. You get 80% of your results from 20% of your effort. So I know that you're focusing in on that 5% to really stay focused. Let's talk a little bit about that because I think that's really important to get owners out of the day-to-day tasks and then focus on what you just described there, begin with the end in mind.
All right. If you can't, what you have to understand is what only you can do in your business, right? You're the visionary. Maybe you're focused on the growth, right? Gaining market share, things like that. You don't need to be cleaning toilets. You don't need to be doing the books. Okay. You need to understand the books, but you don't have to write the books, right? You need to, have the office people in place, whether it's virtual assistants or in-house, whatever the case, you need to understand that you can't be distracted by those day-to-day tasks. You've got to build the systems and processes and put them in place, the training, everything else, so that the company can operate. You can focus on the bigger picture things. Easily said, I know. And this, when you talked earlier, Mike, about the time that it takes, it does take time. You may not do it in 27 days, okay? You're probably not going to, but you're going to build these systems piece by piece. And eventually you've got this incredible company that now is self-reliant, which is what you want. You want people to, you want to empower the people to get things done. right? You want to give them the tools and the systems to make these things happen so that you're able to focus on, again, the big picture. How can I acquire a new market space? How can I go forward? How can I improve the business? What's new things I can bring to my business, my customers, that are going to accelerate my business? Things I have the true passion for. Because I guarantee you, when you started your business, you didn't have a passion for doing everything in it, right? So you got to find out what that was, figure out exactly what that was, and work for it. It doesn't mean you can do it right out of the chute, but that should be your goal, is to be able to get to that position, because your company will benefit just in a huge way from that.
Because it kind of gets back to, if you don't do that, then you're just an employee in your own company. You got out of working for someone else to have your own company, to have that freedom, but you get sucked into the day-to-day, and it's like, okay, I'm just punching the clock now and working for another boss, which is me. So if you can't escape from that mentality or that, vortex, what's the difference in that and what you came out of as an employee?
Yeah, I see it, especially in the trades. I see it all the time. Guys are still running materials to job sites. They're talking to every customer. They're on the roof working. They're again. It's like it's insane. I know this firsthand, because that's what I used to do. And then until I learned to designate and empower my people and trust them. You may be the greatest at your craft, and that's awesome, right? But your customers, if you have a foreman or you have a crew that's 90% or 95% as good as you, the customer doesn't know the difference. Okay, and you have to be
over time, you can impart your techniques and knowledge to make sure that it gets polished up. And I feel like the mentality would be, as that owner, like, well, no one could do it as good as me. Yeah, we just touched on that. But also, but if I'm out there doing this and helping here and loading in this, I'm not having to pay someone, and that's a salary of X and benefit of Y. So I'm just doing this because it's going to help out with costs. But what they need to realize is, if you put that person in there and you are able to step out, maybe you take that extra call in the office and sell that extra job or make that extra connection, and now bring in this massive project that now the crew can get working on. Have you seen that as well?
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. That's spot on. So here's the thing. You know what your crew wants? Your crew wants to work. Okay, They don't want a paycheck every week. They don't want a lull. They don't want 2 days off because you can't start a job. You didn't have enough lined up or whatever. So your focus needs to be on driving revenue, right? Bringing them in, keeping your guys busy. You don't need to, as I tell guys, guys will brag, I carried 2 bundles of shingles up the ladder, loaded the whole roof, just show my guys where they're eating lunch. I said, well, that's great until you take a header off the roof, and now you got a broken back. You're out. You're in the hospital 6 months. Guess where they're going? To your competitor to work, because they want to work. So, okay, tough guy, you don't need to be up there. Okay, you need to be stacking the jobs so they're busy.
And great, we appreciate your heart of showing and modeling, but guess what model that they would appreciate much more? You showing up at lunch, or you telling them the day before, I'm bringing you lunch, and oh, by the way, when I'm handing out your lunch sacks that I brought you, and you love that, I just landed another huge job. We've got 3 months worth of work, or and that's what they want. So yeah, to your point, tripping and falling ahead, your intellectual capacity and your brand many times is you as the owner. So get out there and, glad hand and network and find the past jobs that you've done and ask for a referral and whatever the case is. So yeah, it's really hard. I recognize that, but I feel that if you could explain to people success stories from owners that have done it the right way, and then the first bit of, momentum they get, it's like, ooh, I can do that. That's fun. That's good.
Yeah, it's really helping them with that mind shift change. It really is. Because, I know I love to build stuff. I like to do things. I was great at what I do. So, I want to be a part of it. And every now and then I'll jump in the hole and work and stuff like that. That's all good. But really, it is just, like you said, it's really understanding. They're way more excited knowing they have job security, than having you working side by side. And then, like I said, then missing time off work and whatever the case. Like you said, the more work you get, I would bump up my year-end bonuses for them, because we're seasonal. Maybe there's some time they're laying off, but they get a big check near the end of the year, things like that. I reward, like you said, you bring the lunches, you do things like that. You're able to do a lot more things you can focus on that's going to benefit your people, like training, You can spend more time getting them the best training, making them the best they can be without the fear of thinking they're going to go start their own company like a lot of guys think. It's another reason why they don't want to share their craft. But you make them awesome. Hey, if you know what, they get so good and they go start their own company, I tell them, I'm proud of you. That's the entrepreneurial dream. That's great. I'm all for it because I know the work it takes to make it happen. And if they're going to go do it, maybe it'll work, maybe it doesn't. But regardless, I'm proud that I gave them the best training, enough training, make them so good they want to go out on their own. I don't hold it against them.
Yeah, awesome. So can you think of a recent, maybe a success story, case study with someone that you've worked with, talked to, read your book, that you can say, you know what, they kind of were a little apprehensive at this, but once they did this and they saw that really sparked some momentum for them? Yeah,
I did it with, when we go back to the exit strategy aspect, I was bringing that with one of my clients, and when that clicked, I have detail, right? And he sent me the whole. It was amazing what he laid out, right? He'd been in business 5 years already, and never thought of this, never, because guys, just like I did years ago, you never think it's going to end, but all good things end, right? Economies go up and down, things collapse. If 2020 didn't show you that, nothing will. Okay, so things come and go, so it's important. But once you got that clarity, he started implementing things so quickly in his business that exit strategy, it like revolutionized his entire business. The jobs coming in, the focus, everything he was doing, he started, okay, now he's investing in real estate. He's, now he's focused on passive income with his income coming in from the business. So it has a place to go. The key is a lot of these guys make money, but they don't do anything with it. And Parkinson's law says if you don't have a plan, it's going to evaporate. That money will literally just evaporate. You'll buy equipment, you'll buy stuff you don't need, you'll have a good time. And again, speaking from experience, that's what happens. So once you have a plan like that, that's so solid, everything has a place, and then literally his growth became exponential, over the next 6 months, year and a half, 2 years. Is amazing.
Well, have you ever read the book Built to Sell?
Yes.
A lot of the things you're talking about remind me of some of the similarities, but the thing I was thinking of is the fictional person in that book was like, I hate my company, I want to sell it, and the consultant says, yeah, but it's in a shambles. You got to polish it up before you're going to get a decent price. So let's work through some things to make it look good. So i.e., let's build an exit strategy. Well, lo and behold, as they fixed this and spruced up that and polished that, all of a sudden now the owner's like, I love what I'm not going to sell, or whatever the case is. But I think that when you form that exit strategy, that helps give guidance, because all of a sudden now you see that dotted line connection of where you're headed, and then that motivates you all the more. And all you've done is clarified what you would like to do one day. Maybe it's not, January the 19th of 2000 and whatever. Maybe it's just, hey, here's where I'd like to be going. And it just really does light that fire in you. I think that's a really great point.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean you can't move the goalposts as you get closer. Like you said, you get 8 years in, you want to exit at 10, you go, I am having a blast. I am making a lot of money. I still have a lot more to do now. So you don't have to it's not a cut in stone. And at the same time, it's so interesting that, until people have that clarity, they're just good. They're going Friday to Friday, literally. Like you said about the glorified employee, they're trying to get to next Friday, and that's the most vicious cycle ever. And the next job is paying for the previous job. You know what I mean? Because they just don't have, and it's just, they're down a month, they're out of business. I mean, I see it all the time. It's really terrible. And that's what I want to change. I want to help people get out of that horrible cycle and really create that ability to enjoy what they do and escape the owner prison, have that freedom. It's super, super incredible when you see it click with people. I love it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's just wrap up with this, Richard. What's the best way that people could reach out and connect with you and pick up a copy of your book?
They can always go to escapetheownerprison.com. That's a great one. I'll also give you, for your show notes, I have a free ebook that I love again called Build Value, Build Profit. It's kind of a 31-page deal. It's kind of like my book on the quick. So you can get that. So I'll give that to you too, and they get that. But they can always find me on Facebook, social media, Richard Walsh. Find me. But yeah, that's the best way to do it.
Awesome. Well, Richard, thank you so much for coming on today. It was great talking with you.
Yeah, I loved it, Mike. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneurssradio.com.